everybody, I'm Jammer, and back to the Smash hype cycle, back to the back to the Smash hype train. We're back, making another video talking about now, like I previously mentioned, the potential moveset of the Inkling character. That obviously is the most hype thing about this trailer. The first brand new character to be shown off being the Inklings. A character that so many people wanted in the last game especially. Because I mean, the Wii U era of games, they could have easily slid them in as DLC. They were the most requested Nintendo character for a long while. And it made so much sense because Splatoon as a IP has really become like a pillar of Nintendo. It has brought in so many new fans and has such a strong brand appeal that it only made sense that these characters finally made it in the Smash. So, of course, people for years now have been theorizing what the moveset's going to be, how are they going to play, and while this trailer didn't show any direct footage of, you know, the game and actually someone playing as them, there are some tidbits that we can kind of indicate, within this trailer of what are some potential moves Inkling could do. Because, for example, in other previous Smash Brothers trailers for the other game, in the CG trailers for each reveal a new character, there were some indications towards moves that were going to be used in, you know, later gameplay, which were eventually revealed afterwards. Obviously, it's not ready here, blah, blah, blah. Point I'm trying to say is there are some things in this CG cutscene that can indicate that could be moves for the Inkling to how they're going to be played. So the first thing, and the most obvious thing, is they're going to be incorporating elements of Splatoon into Smash Brothers. So to go over a few of the core things, it's a shooter game. It's all about ink management. In order to refill your ink, you go into squid form. You can swim through the ink you put on the ground. These are all elements we're going to discuss throughout this video, as well as trying to incorporate and show how they could be put into this Smash Bros. Moveset. First of all, the trailer starts off with an awesome callback to actually the original announcement of Splatoon. I know plenty of people have already talked about this, how it's literally almost a frame for frame, perfect, almost looking exactly like the original Splatoon reveal. However, what's very obviously different here is the Inklings in this combat scenario. For me anyways, was very off-putting the speed that the Inklings were running. Now in, you know, Splatoon, the way to travel at fast speeds is when you're in squid form, swimming through ink. Because of that, you can't shoot in your fastest form. When you're up in kid mode, you're kind of in a slow jogging pace. So when you look at this trailer and they're like speeding by with like speed lines, it looks insane. It looks insane. Because I initially had presumed that when they eventually became the Smash, maybe they'd be something similar where when they're walking around, they have a slow walking speed, a slow run speed. However, they could go in ink mode and squid mode, and they could travel really fast across the screen. Now, in order to kind of balance it for a fighting game in general, they can't be as slow as they are in the game regularly. So as you can see here, this is definitely going to be something similar to what we might be seeing for some sort of pseudo running animation for when they run across screen or whatever. It's this, you know, basically a sprint, which they've never done previously. While we're talking about boring stuff and not actually moves, we see the Inkling do a little like big hopping jump. This could definitely be their jump in the game and what we could see, because all we really see in the original normal Splatoon game is just like a little hop and their legs are like straight anyways. This looks a lot more athletic, got a lot more momentum to it, so this could be definitely what their animation could look like, jumping forward into an attack or something like that. Backing up a little bit for a second, we do see right at the beginning is the Inkling girl going from squid form to kid form. This, I believe, is going to be a very important part of the moveset for the Inkling because it's so integral to the character itself. There's no one else like that does this crazy, weird squid transformation, swimming through ink, and I think this is going to be really crucial to their moveset. I will talk about this later and how I think it's going to be incorporated, but let's move on a little bit farther to where the male Inkling is shown off. Now you see, in this scene, you can see him kind of squatting down, firing off a bunch of rounds, kind of stationary, not running like how the girl was instead. Now this scene can indicate that this could be some sort of move, where it could be like a rapid fire thing, or maybe potentially you do a roll, or this could be a dash attack, or something like that, where all of a sudden you are stationary and you start shooting off a rapid fire move. And initiating this move, whatever it might be, this could like up your fire rate, but obviously because it limits your maneuverability because now you're locked in place for a few seconds to now fire off a bunch of rounds, but potentially this could rack up a ton of damage, maybe with like the first few not doing much knockback and the final one actually knocking the character back. So if you land the 3 in the row, or however many they're going to be in a row, that could be some sort of move that the Inkling could do. I don't really know. Next, we immediately see the male Inkling do a, like, giant, like, I don't even know what the heck he's doing. He just jumps in the air. He just disappears, honestly. And all of a sudden, he's flying through the air, does a front flip. That easily could be their second jump. Their first jump, like we previously saw, could be the, how the female Inkling jumped through the air with a kind of, like, athletic jump with their, like, legs kind of in, like, a running position in the air. I don't know. And the second one being the flip that we just barely saw of the male Inkling. Now, the interesting thing is what we see to follow. We see him do a quick somersault move. A little bit different to how the dualies work in Splatoon 2 anyways, because how Splatoon 2 works is when you roll, you instantly lose your momentum to where now you're going to be firing off those rounds. Kind of similar to what we just barely saw with the male Inkling, where he was stationary shooting those rounds. However, here you can see him still running, continuing that momentum. This could be, pretty obviously, their roll dodge, where they just can dodge an attack and roll on the stage and keep that momentum of moving forward. I wonder if they could incorporate both of those moves into their moveset to where let's say you hold down the fire, or let's say you hold down the A button or the attack button after a roll. Potentially, you could roll into a rapid fire attack that get off a bunch of attack all at once. This would be very unique to this fighter, because as from record, or from memory anyways, there isn't any other character who does something similar, definitely. But as you can see here, the Inklings can continue to run and shoot, and that is a common theme throughout the entire trailer. So we could be seeing something very similar to how Mega Man operates in Smash, where both his forward A and his neutral A for his jab and everything is where he just fires off the pellets. Now they do a small amount of damage, inflict a little bit of a flinch, but not much. Characters can still kind of run through them and whatnot. And this could be something similar we could see for the Inkling's jab. Especially because the Inklings have never used any sort of melee attack, ever. It's always been ranged stuff. It's been their splatter shot, it's been their bombs, their assortment of bombs, their special attacks have all been ranged missiles, or the killer whale, all sorts of stuff like that. Inklings don't punch. In exception to the drop smash, drop dash, I don't really know what that's called, which I guess is using its giant fist, and that could easily be translated to a down smash, but more likely to me, I could see that being a down air where you go and you slam towards the bottom, slam towards the stage and explode in ink, you know, all that stuff. But the point I'm trying to say here is you see often throughout the trailer that they're running and shooting, so that easily could be something that may be incorporated into their moveset when we see this in the full game. Now immediately in the next scene, you see the male Inkling do a little quick slide. Now, this is actually something that has not appeared in any Splatoon games. It looks so, like, perfect and, like, totally natural for them to do something like this. But this is not something that's actually never been done in a Splatoon game, where it's, like, kind of a slide. And is he still attacking at the same time? My voice went really high there for a second. No, he's not. He looks sweet, though. Hell yeah, man! I could easily see this be incorporated as their down tilt. A kind of way to kind of approach a little bit, as well as do some damage on the lower end of things, kind of dodge underneath any sort of projectiles and whatnot, and kind of, again, be similar to Mega Man. Kind of like a sliding dash forward to get a little bit of aim forward. You could follow up with, you know, an up tilt, maybe a jumping and use an aerial, and then obviously combo from there. Whoo! Man, I can't wait to play as these guys. Anyways, okay, so the next scene, we see the female Inkling, we're back to her, and she throws the classic splat bomb. Now this, for certain, is going to be one of the Inkling's special moves. Which one, though? Personally, I think this might actually be their neutral B. I could see this being the move that Kirby could suck up and use, you know, the just neutral B one where they throw the burst bomb, it sits there for a second, then explodes. Potentially, if they do bring back custom moves from the previous two games, which I'm not entirely certain they will, we'll see anyways, I could see maybe they mixing it up and letting you throw different type of bomb types, like a suction bomb that maybe could, I don't know, stays up a little bit longer, does more damage or something like that, or even the burst bombs that are just like quick, easy damage, you know. I think this makes the most sense for a neutral B, especially because it'll be really great for spacing. Could you imagine throwing that off a stage, you know? It could be kind of similar to the Yoshi egg, but the difference being it has a much bigger, wider range once it explodes. So it's kind of a combination of Link's bomb and the Yoshi egg, you know, which that's a pretty good combo for a projectile. The reason I wouldn't put this as a side B, because most side Bs anyways kind of go with the momentum of going forward, while this bomb does show, at least in this trailer anyways, where the Inkling kind of stays stationary and throws it forward, rather than running forward and moving the character itself forward with the attack. Of course, not all side Bs are like that. A good amount are where they carry the character at least a little bit forward, kind of making sense of the fact that you are clicking to the side and using that special button. Now here's where it gets interesting. We see the Inkling boy do a similar sort of roll to we saw previously earlier in the trailer. However, he jumps into the ink immediately into squid form. Now this is the most complex part of the Inkling that I really am not sure how they're going to incorporate this, because it is so important that the Inkling has the ability to be able to swim through the ink as well as lay that ink. It's really going to be dynamic how the stage operates and where they lay the ink. However this ability is translated, there needs to be a way for the player to be able to switch between squid mode as well as kid mode at any point, because that's what you can do in the game. Then of course there needs to be an ability to where they can lay the ink on the ground so there are puddles for them to swim through. So there kind of needs to be a balance stroke between these two. So let's say it's like a side B where like you shoot forward and it leaves an ink spot there. And then that's, and like let's say you can do 3 total and you can keep them around, you know, and then when you put another one, then the one previously disappears. So you can have certain areas where you can swim between. that could work. But at the same time, it is kind of limiting. Because the Inklings, I mean, any move they use leaves ink. So rather than restricting it to just the side B, I kind of predict that Inklings are going to leave ink on the stage with every single attack they use. But instead of covering the entire stage in blue ink at some point, there is going to be some sort of cap to where they can only have a certain amount of puddles at a time, and then players can try to effectively use that. Because if the whole stage was covered in ink, and you're able to swim through really fast, and that's like the fastest ground traveling possible, like that's totally gonna make him a broken character. And plus, it's gonna like dirty up the stage. So there needs to be a balance stricken, like I said, where it's still effective for players playing this character, as well as, you know, not ruining the aesthetic of the stage, but still being an effective tool unique to the Inklings. The hard part is just clicking down B in an ink pile, while works, can sometimes kind of ruin the momentum of a combo, while you could, instead of just a single button press, feel going in like it is in the original Splatoon games. So I'm not actually sure. I don't know where they're gonna bind this move, and I'd love to hear your input. Let me know in the comments. I was thinking maybe it'd be a down B, but I feel like because this is such an integral piece of the Inkling, their maneuverability, their momentum is really going to be focused around comboing as well as swimming through ink to be somewhere else in the stage to also continue that combo. It would make sense because obviously you're clicking down B and going into it. Maybe that's the most logical sense, but I'm not actually sure, or at least 100% certain on how Nintendo, or Sakurai for that matter, is going to incorporate this into the game. Anyways, let's move on. So here in the next scene, we see the female Inkling chasing down the male Inkling as he's jumping from puddle to puddle and she's shooting at him. Both characters are doing something that easily can be incorporated into the full game of Smash Brothers, where the Inkling, of course, is moving and as well doing an attack, and then the Inkling, the male Inkling, jumping from puddle to puddle. Now, I don't see it as some sort of teleport thing. I think it's going to be something very similar to where they're going to be able to jump like it basically is. If there's a puddle in front of you and you try to jump across it, you can make it. If you can't shoot the gap and you just land on the ground, now you're just stuck in squid form, just laying there. And that's the reason I'm not sure if it's going to be locked to a down B, because if you're holding forward and all of a sudden you just land on the ground, it's going to take much longer for you to be able to click down and then click B, rather than at a click of a button be able to switch. I think they're going to strive to keep it as similar as it is in the original game, where it is a single trigger button press. If it was possible to do something like that, that'd be amazing, you know. But I don't really see that being incorporated in Smash because, you know, both trigger buttons are either shield or grab or whatever, and that would be a button that other characters don't even use. How they're going to incorporate this is the biggest enigma to me, but I think that's going to be the core thing of their moveset. One thing I did fail to mention, but right at the end of the trailer, right, well, not at the end, but right before the fire, right, you look at the girl's ink tank and it actually has been depleted. Now, that is, again, another thing that is part of Splatoon, where it's really about ink management and making sure you're not consuming too much and running out. I could see a very similar type of thing to how Robin works, for example. Well, while in Robin's case anyways, it was a limited time use of the tombs. You could only use it a few times and then run out, then take a little bit to recharge. In this instance, it could be very similar to where if you run out of ink, now you're kind of out of moves. So you need to go back in the ink and recharge your ink. So it kind of forces the player who's playing the Inkling to really effectively use their ink puddles to pursue their combos, so then they can keep using their moves. Because if each move uses ink and continues to deplete their ink tank, they're going to need to be able to manage that ink and continue to refill it by going into squid form, going in their puddles, and etc. I hope, though, if they do something like this, which I definitely think they are going to, I hope there is some sort of UI element on the top of the little health bar or whatever for your character. Yeah, you could just look at the tank, or you could look for the blinking red or whatever. However, that isn't the most effective, especially when your character's moving all around crazy at all times. I really hope, like kind of similar to how they have Little Mac with the little KO meter, I hope they have some sort of ink tank level meter or something above your health or something like that, just for some quality of life. So now you don't have to completely memorize how much ink uses each move, and you have to, like, it can make ink consumption a little too tedious and too stressful. At least if you're getting a constant reminder, you can see at any time how much ink you have and when you should be trying to manage it as much as possible. That'll make it a much easier system. So kind of to quickly recap before we end things off, I think the Inkling's gonna be very similar to how Mega Man is. A very projectile-based moveset, really with no melee abilities. If I could see anything at all being the closest thing to a melee, I could see a quick fire off of a splatter shot explosion right in front of you, but that's still, you're not hitting someone with the gun, kind of like Samus does with her arm cannon, or like how the Mii Fighter did with their giant gun or whatever. That wouldn't make sense in the context of an Inkling, especially even when they, you know, they had the Inkling Mii costumes, you know, you see them like whack people with the butt of their gun. Like, that made no sense. It looks so weird. Now, this is just speculation on my part, but Splatoon is really all about tons of different weapon types and playing around and mixing around with those. So I could definitely see other specials and other moves taking advantage of the arsenal that the Inklings have. Keeping it locked to just a splatter shot, while still could be effective, would kind of limit it to creativity of the team and that moveset to be more unique and more paying tribute to that game. So, for example, getting the roller out for like maybe a down smash, using the charger in some sense. There's plenty of other bomb specials, and as well as for a final smash, an ink strike or something huge, big ink explosion is obviously what it's gonna be. I think the biggest challenge and the biggest question mark with their moveset is the ability to be able to lay your ink, then be able to swim through it in squid form to then pop out and become Kid again to be able to continue your attacks. I think they have a lot to experiment here with this moveset. There's so many avenues they could go. There's so many other things I barely even talked about, but I want to know your speculation, your thoughts on what I discussed here in the trailer. Let me know in the comments. What are you looking forward to most playing an Inkling Smash? I think it'd be so cool to be able to string combos together, go into the ink, come back out on the other side, do something else, you know. It's going to be insane. It's going to be so much fun. Be sure to give this video a big, awesome like, and if you haven't already, definitely subscribe for tons more on Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo Switch, and plenty other games, Nintendo related, Switch related, all that fun stuff. Thanks guys again so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!